Okay, hi. So here we're going to try to work through question 4 of the project. So open up your spreadsheet file, the one you've been working on all along. If you completed question 3, it should have that on there. It should have the stuff you did for questions 1 and 2. But now we're going to go back to that data spreadsheet page. So click on that. That's the one that looks like this, that has all your data. We're going to select all of the responses in the distractions column. So drag down through all of those to highlight them. And then we're going to insert a pivot table, click OK, click the little box next to the word distractions and drag that down into the values box. And it has made a little chart where it counted up the responses that you entered into your spreadsheet. Now, here there's something a little bit wrong with mine. It got separate categories for 0 to 4 with and without spaces. That's because apparently when I typed in my data, I didn't format a couple of my entries the same way as the other 0 to 4s were. So they didn't get counted together. So I'm going to have to manually put those together, the 15 0 to 4s that were counted here, plus the 2 0 to 4s that were counted here, add up to 17. So hopefully that didn't happen to you. Hopefully you've just got the 4 separate categories for 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and 15 to 19. You might be missing one of those, in which case you didn't have any of those. Its frequency would be 0. But you shouldn't have more than one of each one. But if you do, make sure you manually add them together. So now we are going to write down the results that it gave us. So mine gave me 17 0 to 4s. It gave me 30 5 to 9s. For 10 to 14, there were 7 of those, and there was 1 15 to 19. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rename this sheet as Q4 pivot. We're not going to really do anything more with this sheet. It was just so that Excel would count up our responses for us. So we're kind of done with that, but that's to remind us of what that is. Now, to create the real grouped frequency table for question 4, I'm going to go down here and click on the distractions tab. So you might have to move around, but on there somewhere, you've got a tab labeled distractions, and when you click on it, something that looks like this shows up. And it's got 2 tables here, and the first one is a grouped frequency distribution where the classes are 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and 15 to 19. And then there's a column for the frequencies, and we're going to just click in that first cell there and type in, I wrote down that it was 17 for that first 0 to 4 category. And then there were 30 in the next class, and 7 and 1. So I've entered my frequencies. Now I need to complete the cumulative frequencies. Remember, that's like a total of the frequencies up to and including that row. So for the first, it should just be 17. For the second, it should be the 17 plus the 30. And you can add that yourself and just type in the number, or you can type it in as equals 17 plus 30, and it'll add it for you. And then the next one would be the 17 plus the 30 plus the 7. And the last one is the 17 plus the 30 plus the 7 plus the 1, which adds up to 55. So there's my cumulative frequencies, 17 and then 17 plus 30, which is 47, and then those two numbers plus 7, which is 54, and then all of that plus 1, which is 55. Now I want this to give me the total frequency. So I'm going to click down here in cell E7. Now I'm going to go up here and click where it says auto sum. See up here on the near the right corner? If I click that and then just hit the enter button, it automatically sums up or adds up the numbers in that column, and they do add up to 55. So those should add up to 55. Now, right now these numbers aren't centered, so I'm going to highlight all of these cells and go up here and hit the buttons to center them both horizontally and vertically. So it looks nice and formatted like that. And I'm going to save what I have so far. So if something happens, I won't lose my work that I've done so far. Now we're going to complete the second table. So we're going to click in cell H3, and that's for the midpoint of this class. Now, I can figure that out just myself. Halfway between 0 and 4 would be 2. So if you want to just type in the number that you can figure out for yourself, you can do it that way. Or I can type in the following: equals parentheses B3 plus D3 close parentheses divided by 2, hit enter, and it just took the number in B3, which was 0, plus the number in D3, which was 4, added those together and divided by 2, and that gave me the number that was halfway between them, the midpoint for that class. So if you did that, then we can just see that little box down there in the corner of that cell. I'm going to click on that and drag down through the rest of those boxes, and it's going to copy that formula down to the rest of them and give me the midpoints for these other classes. 7 is halfway between 5 and 9. 12 is halfway between 10 and 14. 17 is halfway between 15 and 19. So I've got my midpoints. Now I need frequency times midpoint for each class. So for the first class, I'm going to click here in cell I3, and I'm going to type equals E3, and then the asterisk for times H3, enter. So what it did was it multiplied the frequency times the midpoint. And now to copy that down, I'm going to click on the little box down here in the lower right corner of the cell, drag down through the rest of that column, and get my other frequency times midpoint numbers. And I need the sum of those, so I'm going to click in cell I7 directly below that and go up and click on the auto sum button, hit enter, and it's added up those numbers. Now I need to click in cell J3 and type in equals E3 times H3 squared. So this symbol is what you get if you hold down the shift button and press the 6th key. So I've raised H3 to the second power. I've squared it. Now I hit enter, and that's 68. So that's 17 times 2 squared. And I'm going to copy that down to the rest of the column, the cells in that column. And then I'm going to click below that column in cell J7, hit the auto sum button, and hit enter. So now the table looks something like this, and I'm going to save my work. Now, to find all of these things down here, I'm going to click cell G9. It's directly to the right of the cell that says mean. And I'm going to type equals I7 slash for divided by E7, enter. So that gives me the mean. That's this number, the sum of the frequency times the midpoints, divided by this number, the total frequency. And then I'm going to go back and click on this cell again and make it so that it only shows one digit after the decimal point. So I'm going to go up and click the reduce decimal button enough times so that it's rounded to the nearest tenth. It's only showing one digit after the decimal point. Now to get the variance, I'm going to click in cell G10 and type equals parenthesis J7 minus I7 to the 2 power divided by, that's the slash, E7, close parentheses, divided by, that's the slash again, parenthesis, E7 minus 1, close parentheses, enter. And now for the standard deviation, I'm going to go down to cell G11 and type equals SQRT parenthesis G10 close parentheses. So that gives me the square root of the number in this cell. And I want that to be just showing one digit after the decimal point. So I'm going to go back, click on that cell, and reduce decimal so that there's only one digit after the decimal point. The range, I'm just going to type in 0 space hyphen space 19 because the range is 0 to 19. All those numbers were somewhere from 0 to 19. And for the modal class, now yours might or might not be the same as mine, but for mine, the class with the highest frequency is the class 5 to 9. So my modal class was 5 to 9, and I'm just going to type that in. 5 space hyphen space 9. So the modal class is the class from 5 to 9 because it's the one with the highest frequency. Yours might or might not be the same as mine. And all of these numbers are centered in their cells, but if yours aren't, you should fix that by centering them. So now I'm going to save my work. And the next thing we're going to do is draw a histogram for the data. But this video is already running a little long, so I'm going to stop this part here and then come back in part 2 and we'll work through telling Excel to show us a histogram for this grouped frequency distribution. See you then.